Hey, I'm Kat and welcome to my channel, Rising from the Illness. If you are enjoying this video, then please don't forget to hit the subscribe button and the notification bell, and of course give me a big thumbs up if you're liking this. Hey guys, and welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much if you're joining me once again on my first proper video. My last video was a little bit of an introduction just about myself and why I'm doing this. So this will be my first full official video. Woohoo! Now, as you guys know, I do have a podcast and I am on social media as well. All the info for that will be in the comments below. Now, in my podcast, I do interview people with different conditions, and kind of a lot of it is speaking to other people and asking other people questions. So I thought the videos on YouTube would be a great way of kind of opening up and basically answering questions. I get a lot of questions about my condition, and I thought it'd be really good to kind of explain a few bits of my symptoms, of my illness, basically so you get a better idea of what I'm dealing with, what I'm living with, and what it actually consists of. So this week I really wanted to talk to you about my gastroparesis. Now, gastroparesis, for anyone who doesn't know, is partial paralysis of the stomach. Basically, my stomach doesn't empty properly. When I eat, if I do eat and it hits my stomach, it'll either just sit there for ages and just massively bloat, or I'll just be sick. So I was just gonna really quickly give you a little rundown on my gastroparesis story, basically. So I was diagnosed with gastroparesis 2 years ago. Now, before that, I was suffering for quite a while. As you can imagine, it takes so long to diagnose anything nowadays, let alone a condition that's so rare as mine. So I suffer with Behçet's disease, and gastroparesis is kind of something that happened because of the Behçet's disease. I got really poorly in 2018. So bad that I was basically bedbound. I was having a lot of seizures, and then I started noticing that every time I was eating I was being sick. Now, when I say every time, I mean every time. It wasn't like I was just being sick, you know, every now and then. I was being sick every day, multiple times a day. I reported it to the doctors. I went through so many different types of medications. They just didn't know what it was. They put me on a list for an endoscopy, which is the camera down your throat. But apparently I wasn't urgent because, you know, being sick every day, doesn't matter. So I think it took about 3 or 4 months before I got the endoscopy. By that point, I was very unwell and I'd lost about 4 stone. I think in the end I went down to 6 stone. And obviously, like, you know, I've never been a big girl, but I've been around sort of 9.5 to 10 stone, sort of like a healthy weight. I went down to about 6 stone eventually. It took a lot of time to get this camera. They went down, they said there was nothing immediately obvious. There was some like lumps up my esophagus, but they found out that that was actually just my stomach lining that was being ripped because of how much I was being sick. I then reported all this to London, who are my specialist hospital. They straight away wanted to get me in for a gastric emptying study. So I basically had to eat some radioactive mash. It then lit up in my stomach, and they basically had to watch to see how quickly it dissolved and went through my stomach, and you know. And it basically showed that it just sat there. My stomach didn't do anything anymore. So obviously we kind of knew the issue, and then we had to try and find some plans, or, you know, how to get my weight back up, which is when I went onto a feeding tube, which was an NJ tube to start with, which was basically on my face, up my nose. I'll see if I can put a picture now. Here. I don't know. I had that for quite a while, and then it was time to get changed, and the doctors basically said you might as well just have more of a permanent feeding tube because you're going to have it for a while. So I said, yeah, that's fine. So I had to go back in. There was a few issues with, well, for the whole kind of journey of my gastroparesis with my tubes, they never seemed to kind of get it right, and there was loads of mistakes, and tubes weren't ordered, and I had to wait, and it was just a bit of a nightmare. But I had the tube on my face for a while, and then I had something called a PEG, which is a tube that does exactly the same thing. It goes into the same place. It's the jejunum, which is the lower intestine, and feeds me straight through there, but it went through my stomach instead of on my face. I have got a scar, I can show you. It's just there. As you can see, my stomach is so bloated right now. This is the result of me having a bit of lunch earlier, and that's what my stomach does. It's very painful, very, very painful. Also quite a lot of poo, sorry to be blunt about it, but yeah, a whole lot of poo in there that won't come out. I've actually gone 5 weeks before without having a poo at all. Yeah, 5 weeks. It's not fun. So I had then that in my stomach, which again fed me. I then started getting problems because my Behçet's disease, which is my condition, started attacking the tube tract inside my stomach and ulcerating all around it. So I was in so much pain. We had no option but to take it out, which is why at the moment I don't have any feeding tubes. Now I really struggled with this. I really, really struggled when it came out. I didn't know what to eat. I couldn't eat anything. I had relied on tubes for so long. A question that always comes up about my feeding tubes: does it taste nice? No idea what it tastes like at all. The tube went up my nose, down my throat, couldn't taste it, and it went straight in my stomach, couldn't taste it. I could feel the liquid if it was cold, but that was it. I did get that question quite a lot, which kind of baffled me a little bit, but I guess I understand why people ask, but I was a bit like, it's a tube, don't taste anything. It's disgusting, like thick, gloopy, smelly, sticky substance. I remember once that Chris took me to the cinema and I was in my wheelchair and I had my feed attached, and I was actually feeding at the time, and the tube wasn't attached properly and it leaked and went all over my suede boots, basically ruined them. I was gutted. But anyway, going back to when the tube came out, I really struggled with what to eat. I wasn't really given any plan or anything. I just kind of like had to fend for myself, and I just didn't know what I could do to keep the weight on instead of losing the weight again. So there was a lot of soups and porridges, and my absolute saving grace was the good old 40 sips or 40 juices. They're not very nice, but they're very high in calories, and they basically just give you what you need when you can't keep any food down. Obviously, being sick isn't nice. No one likes being sick, right? I hated being sick. Like, I hate being sick anyway, but it wasn't just the being sick. I had issues with the fact that the stomach lining was being pulled up to the esophagus, not fun. I had the fact that it was starting to erode the insides of my teeth because of all the acid. Because I was being sick, I just had no energy. It was just, there's so many things that spiral that people don't think about. And eating was just a big thing. I also mentally really struggled with my body image. I went from being really confident in my own skin. I was happy with the way I looked. I was a bit curvy, but that was fine. Then I went down to like 6 stone and I literally looked like a corpse. I think I have got a picture. I can show you. I just hate that photo because I just look horrendous. And then when I started putting weight back on, I really struggled with the whole like weight loss thing, and then I had to buy new clothes again, and I don't know, it's something that I still really struggle with now, especially looking at how bloated my stomach gets, and I just feel awful. I don't like it. It's something that I really have to kind of work on and just accept that my body is going to change, but that's because of my illness, not because of me. It was really hard knowing what to eat. I get that a lot is like, you know, what can you eat? What can you drink? And to be honest, nothing really is ever the same. Some days I can have one thing and the next time I'll throw it up. A general rule of thumb is anything greasy, not a chance. Chocolate, nada. Alcohol, nada. Anything really that's a bit fatty, like, you know, meat, steak, anything like that. Anything that my stomach's gonna struggle to digest, not good. Not good for Kat. It has been a massive adjustment, but you know, I haven't eaten properly in way over 3 years now, just because I can't. I generally on a day-to-day basis will have more liquidy stuff if I can. So like a breakfast smoothie would be brilliant. Sometimes put a bit of peanut butter in and things that will just kind of have a bit of calories. A lot of stews, soups, anything like that I'm generally okay with. But then one day my body just won't want it and it comes up again. It's just one of those, you know. I just have to accept that if I want something naughty, like, I don't know, some grease or a burger or something, I have to just accept that I'm going to be sick, I'm going to be bloated, and I'm going to feel horrible. Just got to weigh up the options, basically. My diet did change a few months ago, where I now am gluten and dairy free, which has really helped me. It's really helped with just generally being able to absorb food, to not be as sick, and also to poo. Poo's a massive thing in our house. Actually, pooing and being sick is just a topic we always have to talk about because it's really important with me. It's kind of like babies, you know, when you have to follow the chart. Yeah, it's like that with me. So like I said, I went 5 weeks once without having a poo. That was the worst time of my life. Oh, it's just horrendous. You just don't even think about it. You take things for granted, you really do. You take the fact that you can eat and poo and everything for granted. Like, my friend even said to me, since she's known me about, I think, 2 or 3 years now, since she's known me, she has been grateful for her morning poo, that it's just like clockwork, because you do take it for granted, and when it's not there, it is like, oh, it's just horrible. So I have a little poo dance that I do when I have a nice poo. A big poo. Gosh, you're gonna think I'm obsessed with poo. I'm not, but I kind of am, because it's a big deal with everything that goes on in my stomach. So yeah, 5 weeks I went without having a poo, and that was horrendous. So it's really important for me to get the right things in my body. I do have like my 40 sips, and the doctors and the hospital in London, they're always kind of ringing me, checking up, seeing if I need to add anything in. They're really good. They really do look after me. London basically make all the decisions. I'm under the Royal London and also the Royal Free. They make all the decisions and basically just send it to my GP, and my GP kind of like dispenses and does all the smaller stuff here, but they're just guided by London because they don't really know. Even my rheumatologist in Salisbury Hospital, who deals with Behçet's disease, he even said to me, you're kind of past my area of expertise now, so just, yeah, they can deal with you. Behçet's disease is very rare, like I said. I think it's 1 in 100,000. Gastroparesis with Behçet's disease is even rarer. My specialist neurologist, I think, told me he has 10 people in the UK who are kind of severe cases like myself with gastroparesis and Behçet's disease. That's just mental. I mean, we all knew I was rare, but it's just crazy. It blows my mind. I just don't understand. And sometimes I literally ask why. Like, why me? Why, out of all of those people in the world, how rare this condition is, how rare for all of these things to happen, why me? I just don't understand. You know, you just have to deal with it and get on with it. And I think I deal with it all right. You know, sometimes I have my wobbles. I kind of just embrace it now that that's me. I am known to carry a little Minnie Mouse bin around with me, a little sick bin, just in case I'm sick. My mum used to get in the habit of taking little plastic bags around, but they just weren't big enough. Because if I start being sick, that's it. I know I tell this story quite a lot, but one day I was in my wheelchair with my sick bin just like in between my feet, and someone walked up to me and went, oh, what's that? Are you collecting? And got some change and threw it in my sick bucket. I also obviously get stares when I'm being sick. I can't help it, you know. Sometimes I'll go out for a meal with, well, before coronavirus, would go out for a meal with family, or, you know, to celebrate, and I'd want to have something small. I'd want to have some soup, or I don't want to just sit there with a cup of tea or, you know, a drink. But then I would be sick, and then, you know, I would get loads of looks, and I used to think, oh, maybe I shouldn't go, or I'm putting people off their food. And it's just one of those things that it did used to affect me. And I remember once we were in, I think it was Greece, we were in a really nice restaurant, like really posh. Like, I wanted to try the food, and then I was sick. I was really discreet. Actually, if you ask any of my friends or family, I have mastered the art of being sick quietly. You don't even know I'm doing it half the time. Literally, I'm just in the corner like, I'm all right. But there was a couple behind who'd obviously, you know, spent a lot of money and were all dressed up, and they basically complained about me, saying that I devalued the restaurant and they wanted a discount because I'd ruined their meal. If you're watching, I'm really sorry, but I just hope you never have to deal with this situation, because then you'd understand. But I wouldn't wish it on anyone. I just think this is the reason why I'm doing these videos and completely opening up my life and my condition, is because we need to raise and spread more awareness about these conditions. You can't judge someone for being sick because they have a paralysed stomach. Like, okay, I'm sorry I put you off your meal, but actually, do you know the hell that I go through every time I want to eat something, or I'm trying to get calories in, or, you know, it's really hard. It is hard. I know some people don't get it, and like I've always said, is you're never going to understand unless you know the ins and outs unless you know why someone's doing this or you know what's happening. So that's why I'm doing these videos, basically, is just to open up, be totally honest and answer your questions. And like I said, I do get loads of questions, like if you do have any, just pop them in the comments below and I'm more than happy to do a little bit of a Q&A. If there's anyone right now who is going through a gastroparesis diagnosis, who is struggling, who mentally is struggling with their weight, you know, whether it's loss or gain, message me, contact me, let me know, because I have been there. I still struggle, and you know, we need to stick together and help each other out, because that's the only way I got through it, is just by having a, you know, that moral support. And I just wish I had more people who actually related to me and got it and could, you know, tell me their stories or tell me, you know, little tips or what they could do. I know I've got a lovely lady who also suffers with Behçet's disease, and she's kind of going through a lot of the same things that I went through a few years ago, and she'll ring me up and say, oh Kat, all I can eat right now is cheese and ham toasties. It's not that great for me. What else could I eat? What do you eat? And you know, I can go through a list of things for her, especially things that will help with like metabolism and give you the right nutrients and vitamins that you need. I've been there. I'm still learning, but I've been there. Like I said, a lot of smoothies, a lot of stews, a lot of soups, just basically veg, but all the veg has to be peeled. Obviously I can't have dairy, I can't have gluten. I miss it, but it makes me sick, so actually I don't miss being sick so much. And I've got to be really careful, because like I said, there's just so many other implications that being sick all the time can have. Sorry for waffling so much, but I really just wanted to get my story in a nutshell so you can kind of understand that's just one symptom that I deal with on a daily basis, one symptom, but something that has had a massive effect on my life. It's had a massive effect mentally, like I said, with my weight, the fact that I had a tube on my face, you know, that was awful. I hated the way people looked at me. People looked at me like I was dying. Fair enough, when I was that small, I was that skinny, I had a tube, I was in a wheelchair. Obviously I'm not looking great, but I just hated the looks that people gave me. It was just horrible. And then when I had the tube, it wasn't so bad in my stomach, but it was still not great. You know, it bulged around the crotch area. It literally made me look like I had a willy. I actually called it my tube willy because it dangled in between my legs. If I can find a picture of my tube willy, I will post it. Honestly, tube willy. And I remember when I met Chris, my boyfriend, we met on a dating app, and the first thing I said to him, I was so open and honest, is if we go out for food I'm going to be sick, so let's not do that. We can go out for a drink. I got tube willy, by the way, because I thought, I was so worried that I'd meet someone and, you know, we'd have a connection and then we'd get a bit, you know, steamy, want some hanky panky, and I'd whip out my tube willy and there'll be this thing like hanging around and they'd be like, what's that? So I was totally honest and upfront, and I kind of really tried to just focus on like the positives and the funny side, and really try and kind of like drag me out of getting depressed and low and down, which obviously it's inevitable that that's going to happen, because this huge change is happening in your life that you've got no control over. Yeah, my life changed drastically. As you can tell, I'm a lot healthier now. Well, I hope I look a lot healthier now. I am managing to maintain my weight at the moment, which is great, but you know, we do have plans in place for when it dips, which sometimes it does, and it's just inevitable that that happens. So at the moment I'm doing all right. I'm still throwing up, not as much as I was, and I'm maintaining my weight. Yes, it's a struggle, but it's just what's got to happen and what I've got to do to try and stay healthy. So I hope that's just given you a little insight into my gastroparesis, the daily struggles that I have, into kind of people's reactions and how I've dealt with it. Yeah, basically just wanted to delve into each of my symptoms in my condition, just so you guys can fully understand what I go through every day. Well, that's it from me. I hope it didn't bore you too much. And you at least learnt something, maybe even what gastroparesis is. If you did enjoy the video and you want to see more, then please hit that subscribe button, push the notification bell and give me a thumbs up. And if you want to know anything, if you've got any questions, or if you just want to get in touch because you're suffering with the same thing, then please feel free. That's what I'm here for. That's what I want to do, is to spread awareness and to share the love and reach out and help as many people as I can. So that's me. I hope you learnt a bit about gastroparesis, my tube willy. and my diet in general. Thanks so much for tuning in. At the moment, I'm probably going to be doing these videos once every 2 weeks. Like I said, and like you know, I've got a podcast and other social media platforms as well, and I just don't want to give myself too much to deal with and cope with and handle, because at the end of the day I am living with a chronic illness, and you know, sometimes I can be wiped out for 4 days and just not be able to do anything. So I don't want to put any pressure on myself. I'm going to try and do a video like this once every 2 weeks for the moment, and then I'll see how I go. If I'm feeling alright with it, I might do a few more videos as well, but I'm going to try to put this up every other Thursday at 8 o'clock. And like I said, if you've got any subjects that you want me to kind of focus on or talk about, or any questions, then please let me know. I've talked for way too long, so I'm going to let you go, guys. Thank you so much for tuning in and watching my video. Lots of love. See you soon.